In order for our mind to rise to certain heights, obviously the mind should be freed from things that pull it down. All of us have many issues in life, many conflicts, and conflicts are the very mark of life. From the cradle to the grave, human life has some conflict or the other. In spite of it, in spiritual study and practice, here and there, if we are able to go to a certain height and see things from that height, it can bring about a deep change within ourselves. Very great souls, great Mahatmas, great people who, along with holding responsibilities, along with spending or saving, giving or taking, along with raising a family, handling property, etc., along with all that, there have been people who were so noble, who were shining in their character, in their personality. What's the difference between them and most of us common people? The Bhagavad Gita would say, intrinsically there is no difference. What they have in them, we too have in us. And whatever obstructions, distractions, whatever negativities, etc., that are in us, they too had at one time, and probably all their life they did have here and there. Then how come they lived with such generosity, just with such selflessness? It is all because their mind underwent certain fundamental changes, and once more I would say, those changes can take place by even a glimpse of something higher. Therefore, I urge you, I request you, I appeal to you not to make spiritual practice a very complicated affair in your thinking, in your imagining. If you imagine that spiritual practice, spiritual exercises require you are going to Himalayas, if you imagine that in order to rise in spirituality, even if you were to be in a city like Mumbai, maybe several hours a day, I need to be away. Several hours, long periods. If you imagine that way, with due respect to that kind of long hours some people spend on spiritual sadhana, I would remark that imagination, I need long time for this, itself becomes a big blocking factor. Because imagining that I need long hours, which this calendar year will not be possible. 2019, oh no. This way if you imagine, that imagination will prevent you from making even a proper beginning. And in the light of what I have understood through all these years of studying and teaching, I would say with much conviction that it is even moments, for a minute, for 2 minutes, you saw life differently, you saw yourself differently. That can set in motion a different way of living. In the light of this, giving up notions of all those gross considerations, reflect whenever you get a chance on something sublime. Reflect on the spiritual truths, even if you have 3 minutes to spare. For it is the depth which matters, not the duration. It is the quality that matters, not the quantity of those noble thoughts. This evening, we are going to plunge into this challenging theme. Our mind cannot bind us. Under the general theme, as you know, of JNANA-YOGA. JNANA-YOGA in the Bhagavad Gita, we want to touch upon a dimension of this JNANA-YOGA, and that is no other than our actually being something where being caught in the play of mind, really speaking, is not possible. It is a contradiction in terms. At this point, let me share with you a famous illustration of the Vedanta, and Bhagavad Gita is a representative of the Vedanta, of the Upanishads, as the Dhyana shloka goes. Sarvopanishado gavaha dugdham Gītāmritam mahat. If the Upanishads were to be compared with cows, take Gita to be the very milk drawn from those cows. So Gita is Upanishad Sara, Gita is Vedanta Sara. And this illustration in another Vedanta work, namely Viveka Chudamani, can be handy for you to understand what I am trying to convey. We really are something which by its very nature cannot be caught in this play, this mischief of the mind. Many a time you and I take our hand to the head. There is no one else to blame but me, and it is my mind which again and again is letting me down. I have a bad mind. I have a non-cooperative mind. I am stuck with this mind, and so on. The illustration is this. Think of the sun shining brightly in the sky. Think of a few buckets filled with water. And there may be some more buckets empty too. There is the sun up in the sky. There is water in, let us say, 10 buckets here. There are another 10 buckets without water. The sun is reflected in these 10 buckets in the water. If someone were to see the images of the sun, these images are small, and if the water is a little muddy, these images are not as bright as the sun up there. If the water is shaking, these images also shake, and what is more, they may even split and again join and whatnot. The images have this dullness, this dimness, this getting broken, and the sun up there is not broken when any image gets split. The sun up there is not muddy or dim. These images have countless things which don't apply to the sun in the sky. Take the water of a bucket and pour it into an empty bucket. And then see, there is an image in that bucket now. A moment ago, in that bucket, there was no image of the sun. This is a very effective illustration that can help us understand some Vedantic principles, and that can help us, in fact, in meditation. We can meditate on the truth with the help of this illustration. What do these sun in the sky, the images in water, the buckets, and the empty buckets which get the water, what do all these represent? I must compliment some members of the audience here who yesterday came up to the stage and said, on the first day you said you will talk about asamsari atma and samsari atma, and you forgot. On the first day, in fact, I had said, tomorrow I will talk on the conditioned atma and the pure unconditioned atma. And clever as we are, I answered, that connects better with last day's topic. I'm going to cover it tomorrow. But to be frank with you today, though it connects better today, no doubt, I had forgotten completely. So credit to you, compliments to you. And this evening, lest I forget again, I started with that. I don't want people to run to the table again and say, "Phir se bhul gaye." What do these buckets, what do the water in the buckets, what does the sun up there represent? The sun up there in this illustration represents our true nature, where in the slang language they say, no, nothing happens. The sun up there doesn't split, he doesn't get dim, he doesn't go from one bucket to another, he doesn't go from here to there. No change. The reflected images are also looking like the sun. They are round, they are shining, they too are pretty beautiful at times. The reflected image of the sun in every bucket is the conditioned soul in the Vedantic imagery. It is the sansari atma. Up there is the asansari atma. Sansara is the worldly life. You and I often feel we are caught in this worldly life. Buying and selling, birth and death, sickness and old age, being praised at places and feeling good, and being talked loosely of or talked negatively about at some other places and feeling hurt. All this. And as our ego is hurt, we also hurt others. Tit for tat. Many things happen. All this put together is our worldly life. We hurt our own spouse, our own brother, our own children, or whoever, and soon after that we feel great regret. All this is worldly life. But this worldly life, again in the imagery, are the characteristics of the image in the water. Therefore, the image represents the sansari atma. Sansari is the adjective. One who is in sansara, one who is caught in worldliness, is a sansari. Once somebody asked Swami Chidanandaji, who is a sansari? He said, she or he who depends on external circumstances for her or his happiness. He is a samsari. He or she who does not so easily get affected by external circumstances, he or she who can stay cheerful, stay objective, stay happy, no matter what happens around, is a sannyasi. The two words in contrast are sansari versus sannyasi in many contexts. Though this evening we are talking of sansari atma, asansari atma. So he said, sansari is, very dependent. Somebody smiles, happy. Another time that person doesn't smile, disturbed. So he continued and said, you know what is samsari? One who is samyak sorry. Samyak means very much or very often sorry. Those who feel sorry time and again are samsari. And it was he only, I think, or somebody added one more dimension. A samsari is he who goes after some sari. So this is all humor in Vedanta. Whatever it is, none of us wants to be a sansari. We want to be asansari. Not being tossed about, not being pushed around by financial loss or gain, death or birth. We want to swim in the river of life, maintaining that inner flame of love. We want to live in love, for love is life and lack of love is death. When we don't love others, and what is worse, we don't love ourselves too, in a sense. We hate ourselves. There are times when you and I feel like that. Oh, I hate myself for what I said or what I did or what I failed to do. Engulfed by regret and remorse, we feel that I don't want to live anymore, etc. That is what we describe, samyak sorry. Right? But think of the illustration. The sun up there, not even for a split moment, has any splitting or shaking or getting muddy, etc. But suppose an onlooker is again and again looking at this bucket and disappointed that it's not very bright image, looks at another bucket, that's a little better. Then a third bucket, it is bright but it is splitting because water is shaky. A fourth bucket, a fifth bucket. But this onlooker is not lifting his eyes to see the sun in the sky. Those of us who don't do Atma Chintana, those of us who either don't hear any Vedanta, or we hear but we don't get it, or there is a third variety. We hear, we get it also, but next moment forget it. That is in a way the worst. It is like a donkey carrying gold on his back. And some of the speakers like me belong to that category. We tell the whole town, and later on, I gave a nice lecture today, now relax. That is very sad. Those of us, in your side or my side, who have a certain fine grasp of the Vedantic principles, should do more and more of Atma Chintana, because we have a glimpse of the Atma. It is not vague or unclear or confusing, or it is not a bundle of contradictions. When we ask our own within, am I truly inspired? Does all this make sense to me truly? Or am I just using it for, udara nimittam bahukrita vesha? Has it become a livelihood for me? In Bhaja Govindam it is said, some spiritual seekers who go off track halfway, later on pull on. They may give lectures, they may write books, they may sing, they may do puja, so many things people do. But the inspiration and joy and the love and the appreciation and the admiration for all that stuff has somehow gone, taken a back seat maybe. Then why are they doing all those things? Bhaja Govindam says, Udara nimittam, पेट भरना तो है, तो पूजा करो, फिर देखो कितना दक्षिणा गिरी है ताली पर. What a pitiable condition. Even if such people are able to earn a living, quite a comfortable living, the state of mind in which they are, where there is such a wide gap between what they are doing outwardly and where they are really, where their eyes are really, that gap is so terrible. But those of us, thanks to certain proper study, get a reasonably good understanding of the essential Vedanta principles, would do well to do more Atma Chintana. The onlooker has to look up and say, this is the real sun. All these are not real suns at all. These were only images. And to the real sun, nothing ever happened, nothing is happening, and nothing ever will happen. Illustration. In the theme proper, the mind created an illusion. I am lost, I am bound, I am not progressing well, I am lagging behind, all others are going ahead, blah blah. This mind does all this. That is the images. The mind is deceiving me, but I am not what this mind is doing or making a propaganda of. Mind is a great propagandist. Like even in international politics sometimes, a country successfully does propaganda that everything is fine with that country. One day, one morning you come to know that that country is in very bad shape and the country collapses. The dictator runs away for life. Many things happen. Families do, institutions do, saying to everybody, we are doing very well. Corporate scandals also have similar stories sometimes. Everybody is envying a company, how well it is doing. Then one fine morning the newspaper says, biggest scam of the century or something like that. And that company actually has not been doing well. So, I am giving comparison, it's just an analogy. Please remember we are talking about the mind and whether it is really binding us. Lord Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita addresses the issue on two levels. In a number of verses which people can easily understand, he just says whether it is indriyas, senses, eyes, ears, nose, etc., or the mind, we sadhaks have to be very careful. We should not be swayed by the likes and dislikes present in these indriyas, in the mind. Indriyasya arte ragadveshau vyavastithau tayoho na vashamagachet tauhi asya paripanthinau is a shloka from the 3rd chapter which says, generally you find that your senses have tremendous attraction to their objects and to certain other set of objects, tremendous aversion. You want to enjoy certain things again and again, and certain other things, even if they come before you as your duty, you don't want to have them. Avoid them. Raga, dvesha. In the 3rd chapter only, he gives a very comprehensive picture of our own existence. Indriyani parani ahuhu. They say, wise people say, that our sense organs and our organs of action are very subtle, very sophisticated, very powerful. Each of our organs, if science and technology were to try to make an artificial eye, an artificial ear with all the features of human eye, human ear, it's very difficult. Indriyani parani ahuhu. Indriyebhyaha param manaha. Mind, your mind, my mind, his, her, everybody's mind. The mind of even a person with low IQ, that also is so powerful. Therefore, Indriyebhyaha param manaha, manasastu para buddhihi. But then, Bhagavad Gita is not a book of mere psychology. It addresses psychology. Its ultimate aim is to take us above psychology. As it comes out in this shloka, the fourth line says, Yo buddhehe parataha tu saha. Indriya, mana, buddhi, and there is something subtler and more powerful, more pervasive, and what is more, the good news is, what you truly are. You truly are something which is way above all these three. And in the very next shloka, in the third chapter, the last shloka of the third chapter, Sri Krishna says, Evam buddhehe param buddhva samstabhya atmanam atmana jahi shatrum mahabaho kamarupam durasadam. All of us see that ultimately it is our own misplaced desires, fancies, misplaced, ill-conceived attachments that are putting us down. One word for all of them together is kama. Kama, literally translated as desire, actually represents the confusion in our mind where we desire what should not be desired. If it is a well-placed desire, no scripture on the earth is ever against it. There are a lot of good desires too. You want to help somebody, you want to feed a hungry person, or you are hungry, you want to eat. What is wrong with that? You are tired, you want to sleep. There are a number of biological desires, biological needs, and no scripture under the sun objects to them. It is the psychological misconceived desires where you become greedy, you desire something knowing well it is going to hurt somebody else, and you say, let her get hurt, let him suffer, who cares? That kind of adharmic desires. So there is dharma viveka involved. Alright, if we are struggling with certain movements of our mind which are jeopardizing our inner peace, our sense of well-being, calling that kama, Sri Krishna says, the ultimate victory over kama is by buddhva, by knowing that which is above even the buddhi. Evam buddhehe param buddhva jahi shatrum, kill that enemy within you. And such values he teaches, have viveka, don't do anything just as you feel like doing, do those which place you better inwardly, and as you gather this energy inwardly, then there is a higher lesson, and that is no more a matter of self-control. Self-control is easily understood and something that one practices using one's will, but the higher practice requires greater intelligence. JNANA-yoga comes in the higher practice. Higher practice, Jnana Yoga, you may say it's yoga of knowledge, yoga of wisdom. I would even approve if somebody translates Jnana Yoga as the yoga of higher intelligence, yoga of seeing things as they are, yoga of understanding things on a deeper level. It is in the 13th chapter, above all, though Sri Krishna sprinkles Jnana Yoga all over Gita, but in the 13th chapter, maximum justice is done to this Atma Anatma Viveka. In the 7 verses beginning on 12th, he talks of the nature of the supreme truth. He is talking of the sun up in the sky, to go with the illustration. I shall tell you, Arjuna, now what ultimately you ought to know. Something to know. It's not about doing. The teaching of values is about what you may do, what you may not do, what you may say, what you may not say, what you may think or pursue in thought, and what you may not pursue in thought. Kayena vacha manasa. In thought, word and deed, there are desirable movements and undesirable movements, and all the value systems guide us. It's about doing or not doing. The Sanskrit pair of words for that is vidhi and nishedha. Satyam vada and asatyam ma vada. Dharmam chara, adharmam ma chara. That is, do this, don't do that. Say this, don't say that. Eat this, don't eat that. So it's all about do's and don'ts on level A. The level B or the higher level is please know. If you know who you are, if you know whatever is outside in the right light, then automatically you will do the right thing. This is the inner truth of it. If you know what is presented to you in a gold bowl is what is that poison? Cyanide. Gold bowl. And Miss India brings it to you. After asking, what can I serve you? And then she brings in a gold bowl and you take a look at it. But then you know that it is cyanide. Then equally sweetly, you also shrugging your shoulders say, no thanks. That no thanks will flow from you right away by seeing that this is cyanide, though presented in a gold bowl, though presented by this pretty woman, etc. Right? Likewise, Vedanta says there is a spiritual exercise where seeing is complete. Seeing is everything. If you say, no, but we have to do something, that doing the right thing follows automatically. We don't have to specially, separately talk about it. So in the 13th chapter, in very first verse, 12th verse, where that bunch of 7 verses begins, Sri Krishna says, Jneyam yattat pravakshyami yajnatva amritam ashnute. What is that? Jneyam yattat pravakshyami. I shall tell you what you must know. Anadimat param brahma nasattan nasaduchyate. The second part has a wonderful punchline. Anadimat. Adimat means something that has a beginning. Anadimat. That has no beginning. You always were that. You are that. And you will be that. This enlightenment about which you are curious, and our mind somehow makes this enlightenment, this awakening or this freedom, whatever you call it, as a process. Something should happen. When will it happen? Will it happen in my case in this life? So we look at it as a phenomenon happening somewhere. But the Vedanta says, you need out-of-box thinking here. You need a little lateral thinking here. Drop this idea that getting freed, getting liberated is a matter of a process, like a bud opening to become a flower. Is enlightenment like that? Like a child becoming an adult, a seed sprouting and then becoming a plant, a larva slowly undergoing a metamorphosis and becoming a butterfly. People getting bored after a lecture proceeds. All this happen in time. But what is mind-blowing is the nature of the truth which you need to know. Jneyam. Jneyam means जिसको जानना जरूरी है. और ये जानना, this knowing is not something in time. See, on the axis of time, you did not know what some object was. You never knew what a smartphone was. And one day, whenever it happened, somebody gave, this is a smartphone, look at all these features, a touch screen and this thing. Oh. That is a knowing on the axis of time. Millions of things in the world are knowing at a certain point of time. Call it point T1. Before T1 you did not know. After T1 you know. You know a person, you know a place, you know an object. But this may be a little abstract, it may look hard, but think about it. Knowing this truth of your existence is not a phenomenon on the axis of time. You know why? Time is part of the error domain. Time is a part of what mind has created. Time is a child of mind. And here you are trying to know something that is prior to the mind. Today a lady in Mumbai was telling me in the afternoon, she met Nisargadatta Maharaj many times in the late 70s and 81, 82. I think he passed away somewhere in 1982. Your own Mumbai, Ketwadi. And she asked him a question. In fact, she didn't. She just went. She was to go for darshan, but she was quite curious. One day he only prodded her. Come on, ask a question. I believe in Marathi he used to speak with, little in a bit jerky way. Come on, pushing her. Very embarrassed. However, she gathered herself and said, well, I enjoy these kind of teachings. Sometimes I have a peaceful mind. And what should I do now? And it was nice to hear her sharing. I believe Nisargadatta Maharaj said, okay, you have that peaceful mind. Find out what is prior to that peaceful mind. What is prior to that? The expression prior to, as she translated in English. He must have used some appropriate Marathi word. Years ago, I had heard one Canadian, Barry, that his name. He too had met Nisargadatta. And I think somewhere in 1981, he came all the way to India, joined this ashram in Powai, 80 or 81. And then the excited North American, Barry, came to know that there is a living Mahatma who is taken as established in the highest truth. So with permission or without permission, he sneaked out of the ashram one day to see Nisargadatta Maharaj. And I believe said to Nisargadatta, Swami, I have come all the way from Canada and I am studying Vedanta in an ashram in Powai. Do you approve of my studying all these books? Will it really help me? Are these books going to help me? And rather than saying yes or no, Nisargadatta said to him, like in a similar tone, like charging, charging on him. First, tell me first, the books came first or you came first? Very strange dialogue. However, in the light of the Vedantic teachings, this Barry was able to put things together. See, we have an idea, we are this. And pretty soon, we think of, I am this, she is this, he is that, he is advanced, I am behind. Financially, I am okay, she has trouble. In various ways, we conceive who we are, where we are, and we get caught in that conception of space, time, hierarchy, high and low, good and bad. This whole field is something Sri Shankaracharya calls it avidya bhumi. Or if that is too technical a word, it is like the rainbow that appears where actually there are water drops. Within the rainbow there are 7 colors. Within the rainbow there is a semicircular shape. Within the rainbow one may note down many things. About the rainbow, physicists may draw a whole science and write equations. The angle of bending of light's rays and how the uppermost is of let's say violet or is the lowermost violet, whichever violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange and red, whether it is V on top and R on bottom, I don't remember that much physics now, or the other way around. And physics has enough mathematics and other tools to explain why it has to be red only there, second has to be orange, third has to be yellow. Cannot be, tomorrow it cannot be other way around. Today you saw the rainbow and red was on top. Tomorrow red was in the middle. ऐसा नहीं हो सकता. Science will say, we have understood how this rainbow is coming about, and several pages in the book of physics, high school physics, explains. But then, very good, namaste, we appreciate it. But the inner truth is, there is no real rainbow. If somebody were to go and try to hold rainbow, all he will get, if at all, are some drops of water. Likewise, who we are, how we have progressed, how much we are lagging behind, my negative qualities, my positive qualities, the help I have done to people, and where I have deceived them, where people have let me down, or where somebody was, so like this, it's a huge story. The story of the Jivatma, Samsari Atma. The word Atma is used both for the asamsari essential dimension of every one of us, which is one in all. There are no, I don't have my asamsari Atma, you have your asamsari Atma. No. The asamsari Atma is one in the entire universe. Shankaracharya, Ramana Maharshi, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa also had the same asamsari Atma. Anguli Mala, Daku Mangal Singh of Chambal Valley, whoever, criminals, hardcore criminals also have the same asamsari Atma, because the sun is only one. Reflected well in one bucket and reflected poorly in another bucket, that doesn't make the sun different. Sun is one. That is Advaita. So, what did Nisargadatta mean by, prior to that mind, what did you have? What are you? Or to Barry, he said, prior to these books, you came first or books came first? By you, he doesn't mean the personality of Barry, but the essential existence of Barry. Find out who you are. And that reality of yourself, that is prior to any books, that is prior to any acharyas, that is prior to any avatars also. Why? We were explaining that time is a part of the rainbow. Time is the part of the erroneous domain, the error domain, avidya bhumi. And what is more, the individual samsari atma who is concerned with realization, who is concerned with getting mukti, a while ago he was very concerned with material success, and now he or she has become a spiritual seeker. That entity which is interested in spiritual success is a part of the error domain. The real you doesn't require liberation. This evening, if you want, carry home this message. I was very relieved to know SWAMI CHIDANANDAJI said, actually I don't need liberation at all. Ha! Thank you, Swamiji. I was planning to meditate 1 hour tonight. Instead, I am going to go watch a movie. Because you say you don't need liberation. The sun up in the sky doesn't need any touch-up. He is shining brightly. But if your attention is on the reflected image and you think that is the reality, you need to shift your attention. You need to look somewhere else. This illustration or all illustrations have some limitations. Don't drag it, too far. It is like when I was in IIT Madras in 1981, we had an extra-mural lecture by many eminent people every Wednesday. But one Wednesday, the person who came, an eminent person who came to speak, it was open to anybody. Anybody could attend, anybody could drop. But we went, some of us. R.K. Lakshman. He had come. Cartoonist. And we said, okay, R.K. Lakshman ko sunenge, kuch bhi kahe wo, sunna hai. And I remember how he took a piece of white sheet and then wrote some line, and we were wondering what is he drawing. 2, 3, 4 lines, we didn't know what it was going to be. After the 5th stroke, we know it's Indira Gandhi he is making. First it was a long line, that was the big nose. Then he said, we cartoonists, whenever we want to write the cartoon of somebody, we try to find out what is prominent in their face cut. Somebody has large eyes maybe, somebody has a long nose, so whatever. Then he was telling us a little more of how the artist's mind works. And then in some context he said, an artist looked at his own wife's face and very lovingly said, oh dear, your face takes me to the Taj Mahal. Very lovingly, full of appreciation. But unfortunately for him, she was not an artist. She slapped him on the face, it seems. You idiot! The artist was shocked. What happened? I praised you. Your face takes my mind to the Taj Mahal. Do you see 4 minars on my head? That is the joke R.K. Lakshman shared with us. So this wife stretched the example in a wrong direction. If you compare my face with Taj Mahal, that means you have started imagining minars on my head. ऐसा कुछ इतना बुरा हाल नहीं है, इतनी बुरी नहीं हूँ मैं, कहाँ से कहाँ गए. So whether it is rope and snake, or the sun reflected in buckets of water, or somewhere else a seashell looking like silver, or my example this evening, rainbow, in all of them there are some limitations, but the example conveys a certain point. If that point is understood, then don't get into the details of the example. This rainbow and water drops, for example, only points out that there is a truth, but then there is an appearance. And if you operate within the domain of the appearance, there is a lot to say, lot to do, etc. But you can operate on the domain of what is beneath, or in Nisargadatta's language, what is prior, what is untouched by the features of this appearance. So Shankara calls it Vidya Bhumi. There is Vidya Bhumi where there is no time. Time as a coordinate, time as a factor is absent. In Avidya Bhumi, in the frame of reference of Maya, there is time. As Shankara in his Stuti, Dakshinamurti Stotra has a line, Maya kalpita desha kala kalana vaichitra chitri kritam. Dakshinamurti Stotra. Desha and kala, space and time, are declared by Adi Shankara as Maya kalpita. That means they are okay in millions of contexts, they are okay, but on a deeper level they just have no validity. Maya is not looking down at this universe. Sometimes Advaitis are criticized as Mayavadis, and people say, these keep away from these Mayavadis, Advaita, Shankara's philosophers, followers. And it is said in a little derogatory tone, these people, keep away from them. They look at this beautiful world as an illusion. What is wrong with them? This wonderful creation of Lord Hari or Lord Shiva or ईश्वर ने इतनी बढ़िया सृष्टि की है, और इन लोगों को देखो, इतनी अच्छी दुनिया को ये मिथ्या, ये माया, ये असत्य कहते हैं, पागल है, हो सके तो मार दो उनको, इस प्रकार का टोन. We say a physicist who says the water drops are the reality, the rainbow doesn't exist, in no way looks down at the rainbow. A physicist, after explaining the physics of how a beam of sunlight, as it's coming from the sun, appears like the rainbow to the onlooker, explaining the entire physics of it, doesn't say at the end of the class, so my dear young women and young men, in the light of today's physics class, we have made it very clear, there is no real rainbow. It's an illusion. Tomorrow onwards, don't look at rainbow anymore. झूठ है. रेनबो कहीं नजर आए तो क्या बोलते, चेहरा उस तरफ मोड़ देना. Look in another direction. And आपके घर में कोई रेनबो के बारे में, इंद्रधनुष कहते हैं ना, इंद्रधनुष के बारे में कोई कविता हो, आज शाम को ही जाके फाड़ दो. Like a lover whose affair has totally collapsed, tears off pictures of his beloved, after attending this physics class, जब आपको पता चला कि रेनबो असल में है नहीं, उन कविताओं को, उन तस्वीरों को सब फोड़ फाड़ दो. कोई कहेगा ऐसे फिजिक्स टीचर? On the contrary, a physics teacher who is in his senses will say, water drops are the truth, rainbow is not the truth. And even as the class is over, he looks out and says, well, the class is over, but girls and boys, there's a wonderful rainbow. Let's all go and watch it now. Let's go watch it. Come on, I'm also joining. Nobody would say that, sir, but you said it is unreal. There is no contradiction. So Shankara's Advaita has absolutely no problem with the wonderful things about the world, with this man's winning an Olympic gold, that man breaking his legs while doing high jump, somebody else winning, another losing, we ourselves winning sometimes, losing sometimes, Lot of things happen in our life. All of them have a place of their own. In Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, there is an expression, pranaha satyam, and then there is satyasya satyam. Prana, indriya, mana. There are a million things in our life. Bombay is the commercial capital of our country. Dalal Street, the going up and coming down of stocks and shares. An Advaita Vedanti would not say, "Sab mithya hai yaar." No. They are right in their own domain. They are very relevant. Right? They are Satyam. So ask an Advaita Vedantin, Dalal Street Satyam Kim? At least I would say Satyam. Then you say everything is Maya. I would say Dalal Street is Satyam, but there is one Satyasya Satyam. Rainbow is true, but there is a deeper truth, and it has its own glory. Dalal Street has its glory, but the deeper truth, live alone Brahman, love in family, love between parents and children, spouses, between brothers and sisters, that is a higher truth. You make a lot of money in Dalal Street, but suppose there is no love in your family. What a tragedy it is. So, in a manner of explaining, love is a satyasya satyam of our life. So, coming back, jneyam yattat pravakshyami yajnatva amritam ashnute. Anadimat, there is a truth which has no beginning. Adi hi nahi hai uska. Anadimat param brahma. In several places in Gita, Sri Krishna uses the word Brahma. Many places. In this shloka, he says, Anadimat param brahma, then makes a rather baffling statement. Natat sat, Anadimat param brahma, nasattan nasaduchyate. It's a tongue twister, see, I myself. Nasattan nasaduchyate. What is this? Nasattan nasaduchyate? You split it like this. Na sat. You cannot call it sat. Na asat. You cannot call it asat also. वो सत भी नहीं, वो असत भी नहीं, वो सत्य भी नहीं, वो असत्य भी नहीं. So, Gita, please don't say, Gita is very simple, I love Gita. Upanishads are hard nuts to crack. Upanishads मेरी बस की बात नहीं है. गीता तो मेरी गीता है, हमारी गीता है. जरूर, Gita has a lot of things which are very lovely, very sweet, very easy, very nice. So Sanskrit is simpler, imageries are simpler, and the advice for daily life is easy to figure out what is meant there. But Gita does have, very much like Upanishads have, some pointers which are very baffling. Na sat tat na asat uchyate. Na sattan na saduchyate. What do you mean? We understand that supreme truth you cannot be called asat. You cannot call it a lie, it is truth. But in the same breath you are saying it cannot be called sat also. So here what is meant is, ordinarily our mind is outturned. Out there is Taj Mahal. Out there, Eiffel Tower in Paris. Out there is this beautiful thing. All of them which we can see with eyes, which we can appreciate with our mind, with the outturned mind and senses, they are called Sat. And with respect to things which you never see anywhere, in the Vedanta the example is given, horns on a rabbit. Shashashranga. Or rabbits don't have horns. I believe a speaker while explaining this said, "Do you see horns on my head?" And one young lady said, "Not so far." Horns on a human head are not seen. Horns on a rabbit are not seen. Mrigatrishna, water in mirage, doesn't exist. So that is asat. There is no water there. Mirage is an illusion. And in an expression, Vandya Sutaha, son of a barren woman. If you have called a lady barren woman, then that itself means she has no son, no son or daughter. So Vedanta gives such examples where it is asat. Or in the case of mirage, asat has again two kinds. Something that doesn't exist but suppose seems to exist, then that is mithya. Whereas sat is which really exists. If somebody says, you praise Vidhana Saudha in Bangalore, देखा है क्या वो सच में है क्या? Then you सच में है. हम बहुत बार जाके एक बार अंदर भी गए टिकट लेकर. You say that there is Vidhana Saudha in Bangalore, right? That is sat. So what is meant by na sattan nasaduchyate is this truth which you yourself are is not to be certified as existing by externalized mind or senses, not to be dismissed as aisa kuch hai nahi, that it doesn't exist by the externalized mind and senses. Mind and senses cannot objectify them. So in that sense, it is neither asat nor sat. You are that. Tattvamasi. Lastly, asamsari atma, the sun above in the sky, is your true nature. Prepare your mind, calm your mind by bhajan, kirtan, japa, upasana, tapa, right food. And nowadays I am doing a great sadhana, sleep enough. Lot of people, both in the material world and in the spiritual world, are making a mistake. They don't sleep enough. They somehow drag on. Then, because they have decided, morning 4 a.m. I am going to sit down and read Brahma Sutras. So they whip themselves up at 4 a.m. and sit down. And they read. But if there is one person with whom they are maximum angry, it is that Brahman. ये ब्रह्म सूत्र वेद व्यास ने क्यों लिखा इसको, हमारी मुसीबत. Or they got up at 4 a.m. but whole day they pull a long face. When they have to smile, they don't smile. Why all that? I am not saying, sleep unnecessarily, but in sleep, in food, in speech, in possessions, if you know what works best for you, neither collect too many possessions, then don't know how to manage them, then no space to keep, you can't throw also. Many, many things. And sleep is a major issue actually. Lot of people don't sleep enough and they say, कुछ नहीं होता है, मैं तो 5 घंटे सोता हूँ. But then that is why lot of people have blood pressure and so many problems. No wonder that they have many health issues, because they have not been living rightly. Living rightly is important. Vedanta is not compartmentalized. Rather, it is intimately connected with living rightly. Eat the food that agrees with you. Let it be meat. Let it be anda vanda. Eat what agrees with you. Suddenly overnight don't change to, something because somebody is vegan. You gave up milk and curd and honey and everything and say, I am a vegan now. Why don't you smile as much as before? I am trying. ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए. थोड़ा दूध पियो और पहले जैसे मुस्कुराओ भाई. Don't, Anyway, prepare your mind with all these fine adjustments, then reflect on the higher teachings. And when you reflect on higher teachings, you will find that something deep in you is ever free. It becomes a matter of intimate experience. When the mind calms down, when number of thoughts decreases, or thoughts do not rise unnecessarily at wrong places, that is a certain order in your mind. Now there is a disorder. You go to a beautiful place, but you cannot enjoy because the mind thinks about some dues that you have to pay upon returning from this vacation. It happens to all of us, to some more and a little less to others. And later on, when you return from vacation, you tell everybody, how was the vacation? They ask you, say, vacation was good, but I could not concentrate. I could not enjoy anything. I was constantly thinking of the financial or some other problem. So this is a mind in disorder. And mind in disorder has much to do with our inability to look up and see the sun up in the sky. The mind in disorder goes on seeing, this image also is broken, that image is muddy, this image is not clear. Oh, leave these images, look up. Okay, lastly, the point I have to make is, the word Atma is used in the scriptures, within the Upanishads also. In some portions, Atma may refer to samsari Atma. When somebody dies, all of us, with Hindu background, say, may that Atma gain Sadgati. Sadgati means may it go to good worlds, heaven and some places, and then may it be born again in good family, better than this time. That is Sadgati. Gati means movement. In the Semitic religions, Judaism, Islam and Christianity, there is either heaven or hell, and not Gati, but they say RIP, rest in peace. Somebody very wittily said, we can also say RIP in Hinduism. Only R doesn't mean rest. R is roam in peace. ROAM. Roam in peace. चाचा जी चले गए, कहाँ गए? अरे पता नहीं कहाँ, यहाँ इधर भी बहुत घूमते थे वो, अभी उधर भी घूमते होंगे. 4 दिन स्वर्ग देखा होगा, 4 दिन ब्रह्मलोक गए होंगे, 4 दिन का पता नहीं पाताल जाके वहाँ क्या चल रहा है देखे होंगे. यहाँ भी वो हमारे चाचा जी बहुत घूमते थे, एक जगह नहीं रहते थे, हर जगह जाना और शिकायत भी करते थे. गए थे चंडीगढ़, एक अच्छा समोसा नहीं मिला. तो पता नहीं अभी हमारे चाचा जी जो देह छोड़ कर गए, पाताल जाके पूछा होगा यहाँ छाछ मिल सकता है. स्वर्ग लोग जाके यहाँ सब कुछ ठीक है, लेकिन कुछ मुकेश के गाना सुन सकते हैं. Whatever. Roam in peace. Now seriously, who is roaming? Not the asamsari Atma. The samsari Atma. The same word Atma is used. Please be on the alert. In scriptures, when the word Atma comes, look at the context. Just as if you hear that somebody's daughter is in New York, check New York City or New York State. That young lady might be in Rochester, in Buffalo, in Albany. There are so many cities in the New York State. Or she may be in New York City, NYC. So, the word New York can stand, and don't blame English language. Somehow all languages have this. New York can stand for the state of New York in the United States or the city of New York. Same way, the word Atma, not only in Karma Kanda or some other, in Upanishads themselves, depending on the context, some places stands for that ultimate inner essence, ultimate true existence of ours, which has no birth, no death, no bondage also. Whereas some other places in the same Upanishad, another chapter somewhere, the word Atma may mean the conditioned, like the reflected image. And when you transfer the water from one bucket to another, that is rebirth. The conditioned soul, samsari Atma, went from one bucket to another, water went from another. Therefore, in English, I believe there is an idiom. When somebody dies, they say, he kicked the bucket yesterday. Kicked the bucket. Maybe not so common these days, but it's supposed to be there. Very appropriate with our illustration. So bucket is the body, and water and the reflected image are the samsari atma. Water, to be more specific, is like the subtle body, man, buddhi, indriya vagera, not the gross indriyas, this sukshma indriya. So ek sukshma sharir they talk about. And consciousness reflected in that sukshma sharir is the samsari atma. And we need to realize, first we need to make this samsari atma more dharmic. Because पुण्य पाप, जब कोई मरता है और दूसरे जगह जाता है, he carries, she carries the punya pap. Whereas the supreme asamsari atma is untouched by punya or pap. Other day somebody in Mysore said, I have read in the Vedanta that the atma has no hunger and thirst. Why do we in Titi, Shraddha, etc., they offer something to appease the hunger and thirst of the departed soul? Isn't it unvedantic? Isn't it wrong? Then I said, see, whether you have faith in all this, it's different. But in the system, there is no contradiction. You do tilanjali. Thoda sesame seeds you take, til, and then you drop water. Some rice balls are put in that Shraddha Titi. Suppose you say you don't believe, you don't like, that's a different issue. But those of you who believe in it, better understand that all that is offered, rice balls, something else, some water, and with the power of Veda mantras, the essence of those food and drinks goes to the departing soul who is on a yatra now, who is traveling, who has bhuk and pyas. I had to clarify to that gentleman, I'm glad to know you have read a lot, but one point is not clear to you. When somebody dies, there is a samsari atma who does have hunger and thirst, who does carry merit and sin, who does have so many memories, guilt and shame, who does have insecurity, and when she or he is born, all that will again manifest. Talent again manifests. Then in the Vedanta we say the Atma doesn't have hunger and thirst, that is the asamsari Atma. Don't mix the two. You have in the deepest domain of the deepest core of your being, you are free of everything. But that has to be realized by a quantum leap, by a lateral thinking, by going out of box. You cannot go linearly, you cannot go gradually, you cannot go step by step. There is no ladder to self-realization within the space and time framework that we know. Self-realization requires seeing that this whole domain has validity in a certain context and with no contradiction, no clash. The rainbow has no clash with water drops. Rainbow is the satyam and water drops are satyasya satyam. In this way, as there is a clarity, great maturity, then we see that, how can mind ever bind us? The mind is a puny, trivial thing. We are the infinite awareness principle. This is conveyed in the Gita in its own way at various places. I think I went a little long. Even then, if there are one or two questions, pressing questions, somebody, I don't want, yes, Radha.